Hey y'all! Welcome to
Witty Banter! I'm Monica.
And I'm Paola. And as we've mentioned before, it is Mental Health Awareness. It is May. And we have a very special guest with us. And his name is...
What up, y'all? I'm Cameron McCloud from Cure For Paranoia.
And so, Cameron, I invited you on here because I see you as a pioneer for our generation for mental health awareness. You always bring that to the forefront in your raps and your verses. And I've seen you perform live and really motivate people and speak up about these issues that, you know, a lot of people go through. So could you tell us a little bit about your story? How did you come into the music world?
Well, first of all, thank y'all for having me. Witty Banter.
Yay!
Thank you for being
Thank
here.
y'all so much for having me. I got into the music scene when I was like 16. Is kind of when I was in high school. That's whenever I decided that I was going to do music for a living. And then I went to college around the same time. And I remember I wrote a song for the talent show at the college, and I won $300.
Oh, wait, they were giving you cash prize?
What college did you go to?
Cash money?
Well, it was no. It was
No?
A&M. It was A&M Commerce. I didn't want to go to school, but my mom made me go to school. So the
I
first
know where
school,
that is.
Yeah. Okay.
And I filled out one application. They accepted me. I was like, okay, that's where I'll go, I guess. So I went there, and then I won $300 in talent show. I was like, I didn't win no money for the test that I studied for. So I would be in class, and I just kept writing. I ended up dropping out halfway through my second year there, and I ended up coming home. I moved into an apartment, and I spent my time in college working on a project called By Any Means Necessary, which was basically just my mantra to myself. It was called BAM, but the acronym was, By Any Means Necessary, and it was just that I'm either going to be homeless or music is going to work. I'm putting everything into music. So I ended up back at home. I got my apartment, and I worked at Olive Garden for a little bit. Shout out to Olive Garden.
Yeah, I got them breadsticks.
Toscana soup.
Super salad. You want some cheese?
Yeah.
But what I mainly did whenever I stopped, I got fired from Olive Garden because I had a show at Trees opening for Gunplay, and it was either go to work or go do that show. And then from there, I started. I would press up my mixtape and burn that, and I would just go to malls, and I would sell my CDs for $5 a pop, and I did that to pay my half of rent.
Nice,
amazing.
Living with. And then that ended up doing that, introduced me to a person that introduced me to a person that introduced me to Jay Rhodes, who was a Grammy Award winning producer here in Dallas. And Jay Rhodes took me under his wing. He produced my first actual album as that kid Cam, called Second First Impression. And yeah, that's really what catapulted me onto the scene. And then from there, I ended up meeting Jay and Tomahawk, who are my producers now. So it was really just it's a testament to if you just commit to doing something, the universe, God, will align everything that needs to happen, so long as you are just on that path towards what you're aspiring to do and what you're aspiring to be.
Amen. Yes, we talk a lot about that because we're both musicians and artists, and we talk about staying determined, staying focused, and continuing that goal, and how things do align for you. And you're really that testament as well. And I love at the end of your post, you always ask, or at the beginning of a post, you're like, you mind if I praise God? I was like, no, go ahead. Hallelujah. Amen. Let's go. Because I truly believe it.
Yeah, exactly, right?
Yes.
No, it's definitely a good thing, especially to have that faith and to keep going. I know there's a lot of times and there's a lot of struggles that are in the middle that a lot of people don't realize, they don't know about behind the scenes. So kudos to you for continuing, you know?
And speaking of obstacles, what are some of the obstacles other than homelessness and that whole trajectory that you were on? what other obstacles have you faced in your musical career?
Myself, honestly, like
Preach,
my own,
preach.
like my own self doubt and like my
Mm-hmm.
own anxiety. That was a big reason why I like forced myself to go and like speak to strangers at the mall, because like that's more of a scary thing for me than a big crowd, performing in front of a big crowd, like the actual like one-on-one individual
Mm-hmm.
like interaction. So I literally like I've grown up with anxiety I won't say my whole life, because at one point I was like just very like myself,
Yeah.
but like as you get older, the world kind of like beats that individual out. You know what I'm saying? It beats that
Yeah.
out of you. And like I like kind of allowed that to happen, and I allowed myself to like not like myself and to doubt myself,
Mm.
and to think since I didn't
Yeah.
like myself, other people
Yeah.
wouldn't either. So I like really did force myself to like go up to my biggest fear, which was the thoughts and perceptions of other people. And the
Yeah.
easiest way
Mm-hmm.
to get that was just like literal. It was really what's the shit called? The therapy where you have to put yourself in a situation.
Oh,
Um,
exposure therapy.
exposure therapy. Girl, I'm
Mm-hmm.
tired. But yes, like it was literally exposure therapy for my anxiety. So um, I don't know. I do really think that just myself and my own anxiety and my own self doubt has been my biggest obstacle. Because at the end of the day, bitch, I don't know if I
You
can
can
cuss on this.
swear,
I'm sorry.
let it out.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
we don't censor anything here.
No, not at all. There is no beep.
but like at the end of the day, I'm not trying to sound conceited here. I know I got it. I
Yes,
know, like
yes,
I know that I'm meant for. To quote Kendrick, I know I deserve it all.
yes,
Yeah.
I
yes.
just
I
like
believe it.
I just have to, get out of. But on the same token, the whole bipolar thing, I also don't think I deserve everything. So like, I'm really a lot of the stuff that I do, and I tell people this a lot. Like, you can accomplish anything with just the right amount of spite.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yep.
like in this case, like I do this in spite of myself telling me that I can't. You know what
Yep.
I mean? So like,
Yep.
I don't know. I'm like a coach for myself, I guess, or like just like I'm my own obstacle.
Yeah, no, you
Yeah.
definitely have to overcome that. We talk about that all the time. We
We talk
both suffer
about
with anxiety ourselves, and
Yeah.
you talking about exposure therapy and like talking to people, that's something that I do right before my shows because I
Mhm.
am a true believer that the audience is just as much part of the performance as the performer. And so
Yeah.
if I get you on the same plane as me, even though I'm nervous as hell, I'm kind of, shitting my pants because I'm like, ooh,
Yeah.
I don't know if y'all gonna like my music because it's not,
Mhm.
what a lot of people listen to. So it's like,
Yeah.
okay, let me introduce myself. Let me, expose myself to y'all, even though my heartbeat is
Yeah.
here.
no, but for
But you're
real.
right.
Yeah.
Whenever you do talk to people and you do expose yourself, like it just seems a lot easier. You're like, all right, now you know me a little bit. We got
Right.
introduced,
Right.
and now I can
Mhm.
be myself. And
I kind of fall
Yeah.
on the same line of like how you say, you know that you have a gift and you know that you're very passionate about it, but
Mhm.
sometimes I get to a point where I struggle with anxiety and depression. So,
Mhm.
that depression side, it'll really come in whenever you don't need it to come in.
Yeah.
And
Mhm.
so I'll have moments where, and we were just talking about this before we got on, I have to affirm myself in the morning. I have to tell
Mhm.
myself that, God
Mhm.
made me worthy. I am worthy. I do have a gift. I
Mhm.
am who I need to be. I am where I need to be in the moment of
Right.
my life.
Right.
But
Yeah.
sometimes, the opposite side of it is I don't feel worthy. I don't feel like I know what I'm doing. I don't feel like this is necessarily what I get to have. So I can
Mhm.
definitely relate in
Yeah,
that aspect too.
absolutely. No, and it almost
Yeah.
seems like you've been validating and affirming all of the things because we also have a segment called Burning Questions. And a lot of the questions
Mhm.
that we get are like, oh, do you still get nervous? Or like things about, us performing. And a lot of the times it's
Mhm.
like, well, we do suffer with anxiety. We do like have to pump ourselves up before performance and all of these things. And it's
Yeah.
like, it's not an individual problem. It's like, I feel like a lot of people in the industry have mental health issues and things to
Yeah.
overcome.
Mhm.
So thank you,
You
thank you for
kind of
sharing that.
have to be a little bit crazy to think that you're
Period.
going to, you know what I mean? To think that you're
Yes.
going to make it, think that you're going to excel. Like you need a little bit of delusion
Yes, I
to,
agree.
to think that you're going to, you know,
Mm-hmm.
be able to overcome all this stuff. That there's a lot of people that don't try to live out their dreams, that don't allow themselves to aspire to be more than like what's
Right.
given to them, because
Exactly.
they think they know that it's crazy to think that you can do this. So it's like you have to be just a little bit delusional.
Right. Delusional and driven. I think those are the
Hmm.
main ingredients. You have to be determined, like you said, stay focused and aligned with your
Hmm.
goals. And if you're delusional enough to say, you know what, I deserve all of this, I am this great, I am, I
Yeah.
deserve all of this, then you're going to get it.
Hmm.
And I've seen you
Yep.
grow, and you just submitted a tiny desk. Is this your third tiny desk submission?
This is our third submission. Yeah.
Yes, and I'm
Wow.
like, there's a saying in Spanish, la tercera es la vencida. And it's like third time's the charm, right? And so I was
Mm.
like, yes, come on, it's the third time y'all did it. Let's go.
That sounds so much cooler than Third Time's a Charm.
Right? Yeah, I think
That
so.
sounds some Harry
Spanish
Potter
has a way
shit.
of doing that.
La tercera es la vencida. Gotta sprinkle a little bit of magic on it, okay?
Yeah, got to. Come on, I'm gonna need you to text me that so I can just be saying that.
Yeah.
You need
Yes.
it. I need that spell.
Definitely.
No.
But
But
yeah, the
you've
tiny
been,
desk.
yeah, go ahead.
It was such a weird journey because when I did the first tiny desk submission, I literally just wanted 500 likes on Facebook. That was it. I saw
Mm-hmm.
Dana Harper. She amazing
Love
singer,
Dana.
amazing person just in general.
Mm-hmm.
Um, she did a tiny desk submission maybe in 2020, whatever year it was before we did ours. And I saw that and I saw like what traction it was getting, and I was like, oh, this would be good content for us to post.
Mm-hmm.
So like the next year I wanted to do a tiny desk submission, and that was it. I just wanted to do one. I didn't think anything more of it. And we ended up making it to the finals. Like they picked her as one of the top shelf like
Yeah.
favorite submissions. And then I was like, oh cool, that's all right. And then on top of that, they asked us to come and play a sold out show with NPR in Houston. And again, I was like, that's all right. Okay, we did the thing. That's done. And then one of
Mm-hmm.
the workers at NPR like saw me watching the people that won, who we opened for, and came up to me and was like, "Hey, just so you know, this is their fourth time submitting. So like, don't think that
Preach on
just
it.
because it didn't
Preach
happen
on
this
it.
time that it won't." And I
Right.
think that's a big testament to just life in general. Like, just because
Yep.
you didn't go all the way this time, don't think that next time it won't happen. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean?
Mm-hmm.
So then fast forward to us doing the second one, and I was just like, I was so confident that we would win, and I was so confident that that was the time that we would win. But I was not confident in our submission. I didn't feel like I was really like
Mm.
putting my full self into it. I felt like I was allowing the band to tell me how the submission should be. And like I trust them, with my life,
Yeah.
honestly.
Yeah.
So like
I feel that.
I was just like, okay, cool, y'all got it. But I still wasn't. I didn't believe it. I didn't believe in it. And we ended up making it to the finals again. So then I'm starting to like, oh well, maybe like they did know, maybe they were right. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and like, I mean, no spoilers, but I mean, as y'all already know, we lost the second time. And I remember at that point, I was working at Ascension, like part time at this coffee shop, and I remember I like went to the shed and like got like teary eyed because I was like, I just know what can come from this.
Yes.
Because like not only like being on Tiny Desk, that's amazing, but
Mhm.
what happens is they take you on a tour
Mm-hmm.
throughout the country to like
Yeah.
all of the like every major city that they have a NPR station at.
Mm.
And I just knew from like the show that we had in Houston, like when we got off stage and it was time for the winners to get on stage, there was a third of the people that was in the room. Like it cleared out after we went off. People were just like, "Oh,
I thought you
that
guys
was,
were the
I thought that was the thing." You know what I mean?
dang.
So I was like, if we can do that, and just the reception we got, the amount of followers that we got, just
Yeah.
like the people that still hit us up now about that show that were in Houston, I was like, if we can do what we did in Houston, in all these cities in America, like it's over.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's
Yeah.
really what I want. And when we lost the second one, I went back and I watched everybody's submission that had won.
Ooh, he did his
I
homework,
watched
y'all.
Look, look, I watched their submissions. I listened to what the judges said about their submissions.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and that's what I put into this third one. The thing is, like
Okay.
in these last two submissions, we've done like kind of medleys, like a mix or a mashup of all of our different songs. But for
Mm,
this one, I really wanted to make a song, like a statement that
yeah.
said who we are, who I am, and represented what we can do as a band, and then like just was just all encompassing of that. Um,
Bro, and that
and
submission
something
was
that I was just
sick. It was
look,
sick.
thank you,
Like the whole
thank you,
visual, the whole like being on desk, getting out of that painting and like making a
yeah,
reality. And of course,
yeah,
your musicians are stacked. You know, I love them as well. You got the Grays,
mm,
Jordan, Jonathan, backup
yeah,
vocals with Key and Dana as
hmm
well. So your band is
yeah,
stacked. You got people, your producers, Tomahawk, like all of y'all
yeah.
together is just pure magic.
We be in there like the Avengers. Like I know a sound man hate to see us coming because it's just like just chords. It's like 14 of us.
Yes.
Like it
Yep.
really is. And it translates
Mm,
that we are a family and that we've known
mm-hmm.
each other for 10 plus years.
Wow.
Like COVID makes me think that like 2015 was 5 years ago, but that bitch was 10 years ago. You know what I mean? And like
Mm-hmm.
we've
Yep.
been just through so much and like grown so much as people and like gotten so much closer as people. So, and it just translates. It shows that we're not just a collective of people that like, oh, you're dope, let's make music. Like it was that 10 years ago, but like
Right.
we are really like the producer in my band married the singer in the Grays band and had kids,
Mm-hmm.
and we like Game of Thrones like merged the houses together, and like it's just I don't know, it's just there's just so much stuff that like has happened and has come together that like needed to happen in order for us to be where we're at. Um, and I don't know, it's again not to backtrack on the whole CD thing, but like if you just commit to something, like the universe will meet you halfway, and it will, like a video game, like put the people in front of you that you need to get to the next level. You know what I
Right.
mean?
Right. Yeah, no,
So yeah,
I also believe in
for me
that.
that's TED Talk.
No, yeah, I
Yeah.
also believe in that the people who are meant to be in your life, whether it's for a season or for your entire life, are meant to
Yeah.
be there to project you to your next timeline, right? To whatever
Yeah.
your next destination is. And
Absolutely.
like
Mm-hmm.
this whole podcast was really based because of our friendship, me and Monica's friendship.
Yeah, we've known each other
And
for 15, 16 years,
yeah,
just
yeah.
about.
Which it
So
translates too.
Yeah.
I was there. We banter. I was there. We translated.
right, right,
Since the very
exactly. Since the
beginning,
very
we
beginning.
knew we
Yeah.
had something.
Yes, we knew we had something, and so now it's
Hey.
manifested into this. And so the fact that
Yeah.
you're talking and speaking on that is just like another testament that community and people engaging with each other is really also part of the key to
Yeah.
becoming and to creating your dream, to manifesting that dream.
Mm-hmm. What's the
Absolutely.
saying? It's like if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together.
Yeah,
Like
Mm-hmm.
I'm like
definitely
Mm-hmm.
that.
I feel like I'm like a living testament of that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
dude. I definitely see it. And I remember we saw you at Arco. One of my friends and I saw you at Arco, and she was like, "Who is
Mm-hmm.
that? Oh my god, she's just amazing!" Like, I just she became an instant fan. So just know that your
Oh,
light shines really bright, and you
thank you.
are absolutely doing what you're supposed to be doing, chasing that dream, being that dream.
Yeah.
So,
Yes.
Thank
yeah.
you.
I do have a question as far as, the topic of mental health awareness for the
Mhm.
month of May. Um,
Yeah.
how has mental health played a role in your music as well as in your life?
Mhm.
Obviously with mental health, it gets a really bad stigma because everybody sees the more negative side rather than positive and
Yeah.
kind of bringing the encouragement of, the struggle. But
Hmm.
how has that played a role in your music and in your life?
I feel like people love vulnerability and they love seeing someone say the things that they wish they could say.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Because we all crazy.
Yep.
We're all crazy.
Mhm.
And I only realized that because like the first time that I told the story of Cure For Paranoia was when I was on stage at Badu. And the only reason that I told the story was because so I did the show at a birthday party. It was my first time performing in front of that large of a crowd. And while I was holding the mic, like my hands were like shaking. And I did my thing. I just walked off stage. I just walked off. And her keyboard player, RC, came backstage at the bonfire. I was like, "What are you doing? Like, go tell them who you are." And I was like, "I have to talk." Like, it's so much easier to perform talking first. Like, no.
Mm-hmm.
And I went up there and I said, I was like, "Y'all probably see my hands shaking up here," which you can't. But I was like, I I am nervous, and the reason why, and I am anxious right now, is because and I told the story of Cure for Paranoia about how like um, a year prior to that, I was placed on medication for bipolar depression and paranoid schizophrenia, and the music, doing music, performing music, writing music was more therapeutic than the medication was for me. So that's what made me start Cure for Paranoia, and I walked off stage and I was just like, especially like being Black. We don't it like mental illness just, and I'm sure that y'all know it as like people of color as
Latinas,
well.
yes.
Yep.
Like
Mm-hmm.
we, you pray it away. You're not like, we don't go to therapy, especially when I was growing. Now it's like a little bit more like accepted, but growing up, like there was a stigma behind mental illness, medication, going to therapy, like all of that. So like I'm saying that in front of a crowd of Badu's fans, which is Wakanda forever. And like
Mm-hmm.
I was thinking, I was like, they're gonna look at me a certain way, they're gonna view me a certain way.
Mm.
And I got on my phone to get my friend backstage at her birthday, and I was going to Instagram so I could like message them and be like, "Hey, I'm over here." And I tried to open Instagram, and it like was getting so much traffic that my phone turned off.
Oh
Like,
wow.
and this was like back when you had the iPhone with the button, so it was already fighting for
Already
its life.
jank, you know.
Yeah, it was already like, kill me. So it just like it died, and like that ended up turning us into like the poster boys of Deep Ellum. That ended up being the reason
Mm-hmm.
why we had like shows 5 days a week before Wednesday. Like we had residencies literally
Yes.
everywhere, like a monopoly board. And that really was what made me realize, oh, people want this. People want to see someone talking about these things. And the gift that paranoia has given me is that I think y'all know all this anyway. I think y'all know all of this stuff about me anyway. So I'm like, oh, let me get ahead of it and tell y'all. But like the blessing in it is like, it's paranoia. So no, y'all don't know, but y'all are like, wow, he's saying this stuff. You know what I mean? So it's like me thinking that y'all know it anyway, and me saying it is what ended up being the best thing that could have happened to me.
Yeah. Amen to that.
Yeah, and your vulnerability definitely inspires others as well. And I get that a lot with myself as well. It's like, because cumbia for me is a genre that you can express yourself and dance however the fuck you want, like dance like nobody is watching. And that's how I perform,
which is already you as a person in general.
Yeah, and it's like that's how I perform, and like being vulnerable, just like, girl, move however the fuck you want to move, like. And the fact that you're able to say, hey, this is me, this is what I do, and hopefully you can inspire other people to seek out therapy or seek out any treatment like that, is really impactful and really powerful.
And you are correct about people, people of color, Latinos. We're very much, and I don't even want to say that it's you pray it away, because that is part of it, but it's also a pride thing. So a lot of it goes with, the minorities that are mostly men. I've seen mostly that they won't necessarily seek help because we were told all of our lives to tough it out, to not complain, to just keep going.
Men don't cry.
Yeah, men don't cry. And then women also in the Latin community, I heard it my whole life, they didn't seek help because they didn't want to seem weak or fragile. Like I've always been surrounded by strong, independent women. My mom and my grandparents, my grandmothers on both sides. That's definitely what I've noticed. But I do Tejano music, so a little bit different than cumbia, but ultimately you see it in that atmosphere too. You see the people that they don't want to show what's going on because nobody needs to know our business, and what happens in the house, it stays in the house. What happens in
Right.
the family stays in the family. But ultimately, if you're keeping it to yourself, you're not helping yourself at all, and then ultimately it become detrimental to others. So being able to speak clearly and to speak fluently in a language that most people would find difficult to speak themselves it's amazing. So
Yeah. And
Yeah,
it's crazy to
kudos.
think about it that way, because it's like how the same way your family was thinking that way, like you don't want other people to know your business. All families think that way. And then it's the same with people, like realizing that it's like no one is thinking about you more than they're thinking about
About
themselves.
themselves, yes.
You know?
Dude,
exactly.
yeah, a lesson I learned 2 years ago actually is speaking on my personal issues, whether it's health
Mhm.
concerns, whether it's marriage concerns, whether it's just women concerns, just like being able to tell somebody what I'm going through, and not necessarily with the stigma of like, oh, I'm going to be judged, or whatever the
Mhm.
fact may be of why people hide what they're going
Yeah.
through, which was something that I used to do a lot, was just like, oh, I have this diagnosis, I'm going to keep it to myself, and burden myself so I don't burden other people, I think is another thing that other people think. And
Yeah.
now that I am more open with my anxiety, my diagnosis with my thyroid issues, and all these things, I have found community, people
Yeah.
who go through the same damn thing that I am going through, and they're
Yeah.
able to give me, recommendations and suggestions. Oh, if you don't have enough of this, go ahead and supplement with this, or whatever the case may be. But I wasn't cultivating that for myself because I was so scared of the judgment, of the burden I was putting on other people. And of course, the stigma of like, oh, I don't want to go to therapy because, like, that's not something Mexicans do, like whenever I went through a depressive state, my parents did the egg, they
Mm.
prayed it away. And it's like,
Yeah.
okay, I know you're trying to help, but that's not it,
Well, I think it's also
Right.
too that like just how you were saying, we're all a little bit crazy somehow or another. We
Mm-hmm.
all are, no matter what people have to say about it. But I was always told, by certain family members that I'm not crazy. I'm not crazy because I started going to therapy. You're the one
Mm.
that has the issue. I'm not the one that has the
Mhm.
issue. I'm not
Mm.
crazy. And so I'm like, at this point, if this is the title that we're giving to people that actually are seeking help and using tools
Right.
fundamentally to become, a better person, but also to understand what's going on up here,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
then I'm crazy.
Right.
Ultimately, I told Paola this a long time ago when we first started the podcast. This has been the most healing experiment that we've been able to do as far as coming up with a podcast and making it work, and committing to it week in and
Mm-hmm.
week out, and being able to tell our stories as
Right.
fluently as we can, and having people
Mm-hmm.
like you coming on and talking
Right.
and validating that truth.
Mm-hmm.
So, being able to talk about our struggles in life, our mental health, has been very, very healing with this whole
Right.
atmosphere.
And like our purpose here is to bring awareness to these issues because we know our audience is probably mainly brown, Latinos, people of color. So it's just like we know we need to have these hard conversations and have these
Mm.
conversations that bring awareness and amplify these voices. And
Yeah.
so the fact that you're here and validating and telling us your truth, I know is going to inspire our listeners as well to, whether they're going through a rough patch or they just need a little extra motivation. Like
Mm.
therapy or a community is really that impactful. And I hope that they
Yeah.
seek that help, or they reach out to those people that they know they can trust because they listen
Yeah.
to our podcast and because you were here with us. Is there any
Yeah.
last message you may want to give your audience, your fans, your family, your people?
As well as where they can find you.
Yes, of course.
Yeah. I would say not even just for my people, but even just for y'all's people. Hey y'all, what up?
Hey.
For y'all's people as well. I would say view therapy, medication, whatever, seeking help. Think about it as if everybody on earth had a headache. We can make a headache like the metaphor for being crazy. if everybody on earth, it's like people having a headache and being like, and you have the option to get an Advil or a Tylenol. And be like, oh no, I'm not taking that. I'm not doing that.
Right,
I'm just
right.
gonna pray away this headache. It's like no, like if you have an issue or you have something, like it is okay to seek out some external help because that's just that's just how we're wired. We're not wired to just like, I don't know, just think our problems away, because thinking is the issue in the first place. And yeah, I think that's all I would say, because that's how I had to rationalize it with myself. Because at one point I tried to get off of medication because I didn't want that stigma anymore. I didn't want to feel like I needed something. I needed to take something every day to be okay. But it's like, if I had a headache, what would I do?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's all I would say. And I guess as far as finding me, I'm at Cure For Paranoia on everything. If you're having trouble spelling it, you can just type in Google it, and then they'll.
Don't worry, we got you. We gonna put it up on the screen for everybody to see.
Right on. I'll be if I'm at shows and people are like, "What's your Instagram?" I'll say Cure For Paranoia. They'll be like, "Oh, you do it."
That's what I
Same with me. Sabor puro. Wait, what? How do you spell that?
We just get to walk around with just captions, just
or a QR code on the
QR code on your
right.
shirt.
Oh, okay.
There you go. I got you.
Make a hat. Make a hat with the QR code.
Yeah, I'll make sure you get your residuals for the ideas.
Thank you. I'll have my people call your people.
Just tell them the Venmo. I'm gonna write you a check. Don't cash it to the voice.
All right,
I'm gonna write you a check.
Well, Cam, thank you so much. This has been
I was
an
gonna say, it's
absolute
been
pleasure.
so awesome talking to y'all. Like, thank y'all for letting me make it work here from my melting spot. I've just been like doing so much, but I'm so glad I got to talk to you guys.
Yes, no, thank you for making the time. And in the spirit of mental health, you did exactly what you needed to do. You listened to your body and you said, you know what, I need to stay right here because it's just been too much. And the fact that we were able to work it out and you actually opened
you're
up
pioneering this for us, so we appreciate it. We appreciate you being the first call-in interview that we've ever done. So thank you for doing that.
Yes.
Come on, saving people gas all across Texas.
There you go. Climate change. What is that?
Yes. So thank you so much, Cameron. We loved having you here and loved the conversation.
I love getting to talk to you guys.
Yes.
Heck yeah.
Bye.
Bye.
Take it easy.